Sahana vavatu, Sahana bhunaktu, Vidyam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, the teaching of Vedanta is a very simple teaching actually. And it is that one is Nitya Mukta. We are Nitya Mukta means all the time free. Because the binding of Atma is an impossibility. That cannot happen. Inherent in Atma, Paramatma, is this possibility which we are seeing. Which possibility? The possibility of the appearance of individuation, individuality, separateness, bondage. And please see the important word which qualifies all of these words is appearance of. Appearance of individuation, appearance of individuality, appearance of bondage, appearance of dukkha, appearance of so many things. But it is the same one reality which is appearing as all of those things. A reality which is not bound when an appearance occurs on it. Like when Nama Rupa appears on any object in the world, Nama Rupa does not affect the object in any way. Nama Rupa does nothing to an object. I told you, if you take this little bit of clay and you split it in two and you make Rama and you make Ravan, the superimposition of the Nama Rupa on clay does nothing to clay. Nama Rupa is incapable of changing the fundamental nature of anything. So the universe which we are seeing, including this BMI and all the objects and all things, is all nothing but Nama Rupa superimposed on or appearing on reality. So between me and you there is space. That is also Nama Rupa. And I am Nama Rupa and you are Nama Rupa. All of these Nama Rupa existing on the one infinite reality, going infinitely in every direction. That reality and no object in the universe can ever be modified, changed or anything by Nama Rupa. Nama Rupa does nothing. In fact, if you analyze a little bit, you will realize Nama Rupa also do not exist. An appearance essentially means anything that is abhasa rupa is appearance. Essentially means it doesn't exist. It means it is just appearing. It doesn't exist means in any real way. It exists only as an appearance. And the nature of an appearing existence is, if you inquire into it, then we don't know where it scampers away. In fact, now science is also proving this thing. That if you inquire into anything, you take a microscope and you go deeper, deeper, deeper into this, it vanishes. So that is this is another law of the universe. They call it drishta nashta. Means, if we can look at anything very closely, it will disappear. That's why Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi tells, you just inquire, from where does this I come? You go ahead and see, where is I coming from? If you can see well, closely, I also will disappear. So all of this whole prapancha, nama rupa prapancha, is going on and it does nothing to this substratum which is called as Brahman. Nothing has ever happened to Brahman. Nama rupa cannot bind the Brahman, and that Brahman is the only one thing. Therefore, I am nitya mukta. There is nama rupa appearing on me, but nama rupa cannot do anything to me. So nitya mukta. Now, what is all of this which is going on? If I am nitya mukta, well, what I am just telling you is something that we have to dwell on, but we have a very mischievous antakarana. This fellow will not let us dwell on anything, especially when you try. Only when you sit there, that time all the things which you don't want to come, that only will come. Well, this antakarana has to be treated. And antakarana, not only chanchal, goes here, there, everywhere. Antakarana also is all the time asking questions. From birth till death. When you go to die also, where will I go? What will happen? He asks, and the child, why does it rain? From childhood he goes on asking, and this is the same thing for spirituality also. The child is asking, Papa, why does it rain? He said, Beta, it rains to make the plants grow. I said, take it, why does it rain in the parking lot? No plants there. So like that, he is, what is that? Inquisitive from that time till the end also. Inquisitive, wants to know. His intellect wants to know. This part of the antakarana. Why? So now the Upanishads have to give all sorts of answers for all sorts of questions. When it has gotten enough answers, it quietens down. And if he gets the right answer, then it points in the right direction. Actually, it is all pointing only. I told you now, there is only one absolute. Everything else is relative. One absolute. Guruji used to say that everything else is relative. That thank God. Because if your relatives were absolute, when they come, they'll not go. It's relative only. So now, there is only one absolute and everything else is relative, meaning to say that any answer I give also, you see the intellect makes a question. Any answer I give also, that answer will be relatively true. Please remember this. The answer will be relatively true. And that answer is given by Shastras to quieten down the intellect, because there is only one absolute thing. The answer cannot be absolute. There is a law. So now, so many questions are asked about this antakarana, and therefore the analogy of this chariot and all is given because we want to understand this antakarana. We want to understand the anatomy of the human mind, the human experience, human all of this. We want to understand that. So all these things are being given. So now, what is that? Atmanam Rathinam Vithi, the owner of all of this now, the master. Oh. The master of all of this, just like every chariot has a master sitting in the back, and the front charioteer is there, and he takes the master where the master wants to go. So the master of this chariot is Atma. And like that, this analogy is making us think about the nature of the antakarana. And people like categories like that. Antakarana is made up of 4 parts. We like these numbers and all. And then we have to put a name for them, and this one does this, and this one does this one, and that one does that one, and like that. And you know also, those watertight compartments which we like, they don't work all the time. And you cannot find any real line of demarcation between mana, chitta, buddhi, ahankara and all. It is one instrument, and it is performing different functions and all. But for analysis sake, you see, we like this type of things. Therefore, the Upanishad also is giving. Now we'll chant this number 9, and we'll see what last thought we were there on, and then we'll go. This is where we stop, no? Right? Vijnana saratheryastu mana pragrahavan naraha sodhvana paramapnoti tadvishno paramam padam Vijnana Saratihi yastu. But he who was Sarati is Buddhim to Saratim Vidhi. The Buddhi is the Sarati. We saw previously. So he who has that intellect, which is Vijnana. Vijnanavan Buddhi. Means we saw that also. Buddhi that is well endowed with proper knowledge and all of that. And mind, which is control, reins which are control. I mean, he will be able to control that rein, that buddhi. And this is how we looked at it from that angle yesterday. The buddhi is well educated, it will be able to control that mind. And educated what? Well, educated in various ways, but the most important way is for that buddhi to know that, look, what you are running after is not there, what you are running after is here. That is the most important education for that buddhi. Otherwise, once he is convinced that his happiness is there, there is no stopping. That is just going on and on and on. No stopping for that buddhi. That fellow who is able to do that, educate that buddhi well, with all the various levels of education also. And then finally that buddhi is educated what? With what? Aham Brahmasmi. I myself that Brahman. That fellow, Param Apnoti, he which is that supreme state, Paramam Padam, which is also called the state of Vishnu. Now, we have to see from number 10 today. See this? Indriyebhya parahyartha. The sarva should come. Indriyebhya parahyartha. Arthevyascha param manaha. Manasastu para buddhihi. Buddhiratma mahan paraha. Indriyebhya para hi arthaha. Arthaha means all the objects of this world. This is a very interesting verse actually. It says that that more subtle or greater than the senses, indriyas, are all of the objects. This thing is repugnant to an ordinary thinking intellect actually. Puja Gurudev also said that it really is a jolt to the intellect. See, he's talking about levels of subtlety and little levels of greatness and all that. So he says, see, usually what we say when we have do the Drishya Vivek and all our scriptures like that, we say that the eyes see the object, and then the mind sees the eye, and like that we go back, right? So we know the objects are outside. So we always think that the eyes are more subtle than the objects. But here it is, that thing has gone the other way. The objects are more subtle than the eyes. And Bhagavan Shankaracharya goes into a long description to tell how that is the case. He tells, actually, when you do some reflection, you'll realize that even from an ordinary standpoint, it can be very much true. That the objects are more subtle than the eyes, the senses. Ordinary standpoint first you see. See, these eyes can only see till there. Na? You can see till the horizon. But the world doesn't end at the horizon. The world goes on much more, isn't it? One lawyer was cross-examining a witness in the box, and he asked, when did the incident happen? He said, at night. You saw the incident? Yes. Was there lighting? He said, a little bit of lighting was there. So it was more dark or more light? More dark. How far exactly can you see in the dark? He asked that witness. Witness said, I don't know, how far is the moon? That far I can see. How far are the stars? So the eyes can see distant, but wherever the eyes can see, right? The world goes on way beyond that, isn't it? Way, way beyond. So it means the objects of sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha and all of these things, they go way beyond what our senses can perceive also. That means they are all pervasive. And subtlety actually is measured by pervasiveness. One of the ways to measure subtlety is pervasiveness. So these objects are way more pervasive than eyes, senses and all. So from that standpoint. So Bhagavan Shankaracharya tells that they are subtler, the objects are subtler because the objects are the cause for the senses. And the cause is always subtler than the effect. This is the idea. Cause is always subtler and precedes effect. So because all of these objects were formed, the eyes had to be formed to see them. Like that. So, indriyebhya para hyartaha, beyond, subtler, greater, para word is used. Let me see what translation is given here. Higher. What translation is given in our book? Beyond. Here it says higher. Whose translation is this? I don't know. Higher, beyond, subtle actually. That is the. No, beyond now. Arthebhyascha param manaha. Beyond the objects is the mind. Mind is higher, beyond, subtler, all those words, whatever words you saw just now. Manasahatu para buddhi. And the buddhi, intellect is more subtle than the mind. Like that. And buddhi atma mahan paraha. Mahan Atma is subtler than the Buddhi here. Mahan Atma means Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha. You heard that word, no? Hiranyagarbha. See that Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, Buddhehe Atma Sarva Prani Buddhinam Pratyagatma Bhutatvat. Hiranyagarbha is higher, greater because it is the collective intelligence of all prani. Collective intelligence means the intelligence of Ishvara. Because when we talk about collective, we talk about Ishvara. Hiranyagarbha is trying to describe. This word is not so easy to put your finger on it. Hiranyagarbha word is so easy to put your finger on because many places you get different description. But you see, what you have to do is just make, like we say, this jiva is described as having a subtle body and gross body and causal body. Like that, jiva also. So Ishvara also is said to have gross, subtle and causal body. So subtle body of Ishvara will be Hiranyagarbha. Causal body of Ishvara will be Maya. And gross body of Ishvara will be Virat. This means what we see in front of us here, the whole universe. So that type of equivalence you can make. So to give the mind something to rest on. But Bhagavan Shankaracharya says it is Sarva Praninam Buddhinam Pratyagatma, the essence or the deepest part of the intelligence of all beings. Like that. So, this Mahan Atma, which is given in the verse, is to be taken as not Brahman, because it will come in the next verse. Not Brahman, but Hiranyagarbha. Huh? Okay, now, he continues in this same line because we can't stop at Hiranyagarbha now. We have to go a little bit further. So now this is number 11. Mahata Paramavyaktam Avyaktat Purusha Paraha Purushanna Param Kinchit Sakashtha Sa Paragatihi Mahataha, greater, higher, subtler than this Mahan Atma, Hiranyagarbha, which we just saw, is Paramavyaktam. Paramavyaktam means the unmanifest, literally. Unmanifest, Maya, Avyakrita, what all different names are there. Bhagavan gives in Vivek Chudamani. Paramesha Shakti, all sorts of nice names are there for that. Paramavyaktam. Then Avyaktat Purusha Paraha, and more subtle, greater, higher, beyond this Paramavyaktam Maya is Purushaha. What do you call it here? Avyaktat Purushaha Paraha is Supreme Purusha. Supreme Purusha here is Brahman. Supreme Purusha is the word given for Brahman. Actually, Sankhya philosophy is the oldest darshana in Bharat. You know that, right? Sankhya is the oldest, and this word comes from Sankhya. Bhagavad Gita also takes the same word, Purusha. So the absolute reality is called as Purusha. Means taken a word from Sankhya and used it in place of Brahman. Eh? That is the idea. Then, Purusha naparam kinchit. Beyond this Purusha, beyond Brahman, absolutely nothing. Sakashtha. That is the culmination, the zenith of all things in the universe. Sapara, the highest paragati, the highest goal. That is the idea. And Bhashaka tells why it is called as Kashtha, because It is the subtlest, sukshmatva, then mahatva, and also pratyagatmatva. It is the innermost, like for example, I was telling you about anything in this world. No? You go into it. Let us say, take the microscope and you go in. How far in you can go? Now science has reached to what is called a common energy field, right? Something like that. Those scientists who are here will know. I don't know so good. Huh? Yeah, no, well, when you go down like that, there's atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, and you're going down, then quarks and neutrinos and strings, and then energy. And then, just we go one step more. Beyond energy, we say the energy exists or not. Well, the energy has to exist. The energy exists, so we go one step more, we say it's existence. And in fact, we have a name for that energy also, it's called Shakti. Sanskrit energy is Shakti. That's why it's the whole universal manifestation of Shakti. The science is agreeing with that. It's all energy in motion, correct or not? So, it is called as Kashtha because when you go down, it becomes the innermost self of everything. The innermost self of everything is existence. See, when they did not have proper microscopes and they could only see superficially, they say the deepest level you can go is molecules. Then they got better microscope. Then you can go deeper than molecules. Then you go to atoms. Then you can go deeper than atoms. Then you go to electrons, protons, neutrons. You go deeper and deeper and deeper. Deeper means inner. Inner and inner. To that thing, well, the deepest and the most inner you can go here is existence. And we were seeing in Chandogya recently that the Buddhist people say, Shunyavadi, they say, no, you can go more than existence also, you can go to nothingness. They say. So then we ask, did nothingness exist or not? Did it exist? That's how you're speaking about it. Hey, please see this. We are stuck with ignorance. Not ignorance. Stuck with existence. You cannot get out of existence. Because the amala fruit, forget amala fruit, the grape on my hand exists or not? Amala we don't know. But grape I know. The grape on my hand exists or not? Where is it? We say, no, it doesn't exist. Because not there. That a grape on my hand exists. That is how I was able to talk about it. It exists as a concept in my mind. If it were not conceptualized, I would not have been able to vocalize it to you. So, it exists as a concept in my mind. In the same way, nothingness, shunyatva, also exists as a concept in my mind. So, non-existence exists as a concept in my mind. So, non-existence also exists. How about that? Non-existence exists. That is how we cannot come out of existence. Even if I doubt my own existence, first I have to exist, then doubt. Correct or not? That is why I am telling you, you cannot come out of existence. That existence is called as, here, kashtha. It is called as paragatihi, the supreme, highest goal, like that, supreme goal. And that here is called as Purusha. That in the classical literature is called as Brahman. That is called by so many names which you know. You can call whatever. Suppose you don't like it, you can call it scratch also. You don't like this name, make up your own name. Actually, it is very aptly called scratch because everything is made from scratch. You put a new name, isn't it? It is called as scratch, no problem. So, that reality is what is being described to our intellect. But do you know? These are all descriptions I told you in the beginning. These are all descriptions and words and all of that to somehow cajole the intellect or to corner the intellect, or if you don't like that word, to quieten down the intellect, because your words cannot, yato vacho nanivartante. Words cannot grasp it. Yato vacho nivartante, not nanivartante. But from where the words return, the words cannot reach. Please remember, words are not Brahman. Words have the same degree of reality as any other thing. It's all abhasa, rupa. So the words really cannot catch it, grasp it like that. So the Gurudev used to tell so nicely, the words are pointers. If I tell you, his exact example, there is the moon. And you will never see the moon if you look at my finger. You have to look where the finger is pointing, like that. The words are so the words are meant to do something to the intellect. That is why I say, na sattanna saruchyate. It is not satna, no asat. But Swamiji, all the time you're telling is sat. We start like that, na? It is sat, it is chit, it is anand. Well, what to tell? I was fooling you. They are all words. Actually, no, I'm jokingly telling, but they are words, but they have a definite purpose, a very potent purpose also. The words do their job. They're meant to do a job and they do their job. So they give the intellect nice food to chew on. And after you chew and swallow, then you become quiet, isn't it? Okay, now santushta. And good. So the intellect has to be given all of these things. It develops a relative degree of quietude, settledness, and all of that. So then one can transcend that intellect to find out one's own nature. That is the idea. So all of these words have to be reflected on one by one to give the intellect that relative degree of quietude. That is the idea. It is, now see, when kashta word is given sukshmatvat, a sukshmatvam, for instance, that this reality is described as kashta because it is sukshma, because it is mahan, or because it is pratyagatma. Now each word, these words come from Bhagavan's bhashya, not there in here. So the reality is described as sukshma. Sukshma means what? Sukshma means that which is really not perceivable to our senses and faculties. Subtle. These are really wonderful words in Vedanta. Actually, really, if you want to understand the science, you have to learn the words of Vedanta only. The other words that we encounter in the world, gross like anything, those words. Sukshmatvam is such a wonderful word. See, I'll tell you. We were seeing just now a word. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is described as Uttama Shloka. I'm just using a word to tell you about Sukshmatva. Uttama Shloka. Now you know what is a shloka. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuvita. The shloka, isn't it? Shloka, verse, like that. And Uttama means highest. So from a very ordinary standpoint, these are the meaning of the word. Uttama means highest and this is shloka. Bhagavan is a shloka. So now your mind has to understand that. Now your mind will have to move from some gross understanding which you have of shloka, which is something, it's a verse in a book. Your mind will have to move from that to some other more, the people in English language, they like this word, more abstract meaning. You'll have to move to some other abstract meaning, isn't it? So then what you do, you have to jump one step, take the intellect, then one step beyond that. This gross. So now the shlokas, and this is how the words came, shlokas are actually designed to express poetry, correct? Poetry they were designed, they were made for poetry, poetic expressions, like that. And Bhagavan is described as Uttama Shloka. It means Bhagavan is, this universe which we are seeing is the poetic expression of Bhagavan's own being. Like that. Now, this has taken the intellect to some other level now, isn't it? You'll have to really grapple with other concepts. So, from the ordinary verse which you see in a book to taking the intellect to some other subtler level. Like this, the jiva, the intellect, is capable of thinking about things at subtler and subtler and subtler level. And the jiva knows what is differences in subtlety. So now I'll give you another example and you'll see. Subtle is easily understood depending on how many of your sense organs can perceive that thing. So now, how many of your sense organs can perceive this? Well, you can see it, you can hear it also. You touch it, you can smell it, you can taste it if you want also. So I mean all 5 sense organs can perceive this thing, right? Acha, the air in this room, well, all 5 sense organs cannot perceive it, isn't it? So the air is more subtle. Then the space is even more subtle. Then thought. Well, none of my 5 sense organs can perceive my thought. So the thought is even more subtle. But there's still some faculty that can perceive the thought, isn't it? I know that this thought has come, this thought has gone. So the one who is able to see thoughts coming and going, he has to be even more subtle, like that. So subtlety described now in terms of sense perception or perceivability. And the general rule that now is, the one that is perceived and is more gross and the perceiver is more subtle, like that. Depending on what measurement you're using for subtle. But in this case, the measurement we're using, the one that is perceived is more gross and the one that is perceiver, he is more subtle. Drigeva natu drishyate, even that the final seer, he is the seer of all things but never seen. He is called as the subtlest. He is this kashtha, he is paragatihi, like that. So, like this, the intellect is given nice training, given nice explanation to come inside more and more and stay home in Om. Of course, after knowing all of this, that I am the subtlest being, I am the one who sees everything and I am never seen, then that knowledge will have to be dwelt on. One will have to sit down and really dwell on that for a long time to gain nishtha in that knowledge. It's just intellectual knowledge for us at this time. We just know it and we collect it. And it becomes only that type of intellectual. It has to be ingested, digested. What I told you? absorbed, assimilated, metabolized, expressed, everything. Then only. So a lot of work is required. It is called as Gudha, hidden. See number 12, how nice words all are given now again. Nice words to chew on. Intellectually chew on. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudotma na prakashate drishyate tvagraya buddhya. Tvagraya. The 2 years are there. Drishyate tvagraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibihi. Sukshma word is coming again, you see, more than once. Esha, Esha means what? Esha Purushaha. Purusha of the previous verse. Sarvabhuteshu Gudha Atma na prakashate. It is there, Gudha Atma it is called. Gudha Atma. Gudha Atma means it is hidden nicely. In Bhakti Marg, you know what they say? In Bhakti Marg, they say, Bhagavan made this world. And then when Bhagavan saw all these devotees and all worshipping him, they would not leave him in peace. Because they all come with their shopping list, you know. Bhagavan, give me this, give me this, give me this. Bhagavan saw, after making this world, everybody come worshipping him, asking for this, asking for that. Bhagavan wanted a place to hide. So he went and hid in their heart, they'll never look there. They will only look outside. Best place to hide is, Gurudev used to tell a story of a fellow going with a bag of money, some valuables, whatever, in a train. And I don't know if you have traveled in Indian trains, but there's one seat here and there's another seat there and everybody's looking at each other. So the other man on that side is looking at him suspiciously, you know. And he has his bag of money and everything. And then night time when it comes, now everybody goes to sleep. Just sleep on Indian trains. Huh? It's nice experience. You should try it sometime. Anyway, so they go to sleep. And that fellow suspected this man had money in that bag, you know. And that fellow is thinking in night time when he goes to sleep. And then the train stops also. So he only has to grab the bag and... So really, he just was waiting for this fellow to go and sleep. And when he went to sleep, this fellow searched for the bag. Search, never found it. Next morning, the train reached the destination and they were leaving. Told that fellow, excuse me a moment please. He lifted that fellow's pillow and pulled out his bag. He hid the bag under that fellow's pillow only. And he was looking under this man's pillow for the bag, but under his own pillow the bag was there. But actually this Guratma is there, right at the very core of our own being, but nobody looks there. He said Guratma, it says here, hidden. It is hidden from us. Many places in the Shastra is described like this. Hidden. Not hidden on purpose. Huh? Bhagavan did not go and hide himself on purpose. Which is language in Bhakti Marga and all. Stories. Hidden due to subtlety. That's why Guratma, the Sukshma word is coming. Hidden due to subtlety. Because its nature is subtle and therefore hidden. It is not perceived by the senses. Na prakashate. It does not appear to anybody, not revealed. Drishyate tu Agriyaya buddhya, but it is seen by a very sharp, pointed intellect. Seen by a very sharp, yesterday I told you about that intellect. Tikshna buddhi, pointed here. Seen by that type of buddhi. So now see, the reason why the words are given, the words are given so that this buddhi will reflect on these subtler and subtler words, finer words. The buddhi will not go on reflecting on all the gross things. It will reflect on these things. When you study these three qualities of the buddhi, which I told you, buddhi has to be shuddha, sukshma, and buddhi has to be tikshna, sharp, right? Remember I told you about this. It is possible that that buddhi could be tikshna, sharp, and not have any of the other two qualities. It can be very sharp in all worldly things. It need not be sharp in these type of things. Like for example, worldly things which are going on outside, all the politics and all the various type of things, some people are very sharp. That's why politicians have advisors, you know. These fellows who are here, when the politician is walking there to some meeting or something, he'll tell him what to say. He knows all the, so it can be very sharp in all worldly things only. So the Shuddhatva and Sukshmatva, they are also required with that sharpness. Yes. See, the fellow knows how to make a deal very well. How much are you selling it for? $20. No, I'll pay only 15. Now what about 17.50? Quickly he knows how to make all of this. People are good at that, na? Alright, so this sharp buddhi should also be, that is why the words are coming now, sukshmaya. The buddhi should be sukshma, subtle, to be able to really grasp subtle nuances of all things, not only spirituality, but here the topic is spirituality, of course. To be able to grasp subtle nuances of words, subtle nuances of the intellect and all of that, and quickly to apply things, general rules which we have learned across the board. Like for example, the mother asked the boy, so how was school today? It was first day of school. Oh no, there are two stories like that now. Two stories came to my mind. How was school? Okay. Why only okay? Because I have to go back tomorrow. No, what did you learn in school today? We learned counting. No, we learned addition. Counting and addition. Oh, you learned addition, huh? So if you have 2 apples and I give you 2 more apples, how many apples would you have? I don't know. But you learned addition, how you don't know? No, we only learn how to add oranges. So the idea is, the principle which you learned can apply equally to apples as well as to oranges. So the ability to apply one thing to the other one we have learned. And all jivas make a lot of big problem, a lot of big mistake here. What is it? Look here. We are taught how to study Vedanta very well, and we first learn Sat, then we learn Chit, then we learn Ananda, and we learn how to define, and we learn that the Brahman, the absolute reality, is Ekam Advitiyam Nanatsi Kinchana. All sorts of things we learn, right? All of those things. And you know, we don't apply that to ourselves. We leave ourselves out of the equation. What a thing. That is because the sharpness, tikshnatva or the subtlest sukshmatva also of the intellect is not yet developed. That thing has to be developed nicely. That is the idea. So the intellect has to study all of these words and develop itself so that when we talk about Brahman and we talk about Aikyam, we don't leave ourselves out of the equation. Whatever we say of Brahman, we should apply that thing to ourselves immediately. That is the idea. Not to just go on intellectualizing and leave the most essential part out of the equation. Drishyate tvagraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshinihi. And it is seen by those who are of subtle buddhi, means to say those who Sukshma Darshini means who really has developed the powers of the buddhi and can see subtle things. The idea is to make the buddhi more and more. Actually, I don't know how in the literature this word is left out from this. So when we say Sukshma, when we say Shuddha, when we say Tikshna, really, maybe the word is left out because the word Shanta from the list. When I thought about it in the past, I always wished that this word was added. Shanta. Or maybe it is included in Shuddha. But the Shanta, that is why it is, in English language there are many phrases. Still water runs deep. Have you seen? Or still in Shanta. Or the one who sits quietly and observes, who sits quietly, Shanta, that person learns very nicely, sitting quietly and watching. So sitting quietly is a good pre-requirement for learning, for grasping. When I'm moving all the time, I can't grasp anything. When I sit quietly, I'll be able to grasp nicely. Anyway, so the word also should be thought about. Sukshma, those who are of subtle intellect, developing that subtle intellect. Now, in the next, better we leave that, I think, because a process is given now. The process came there also in Chandogya. To let the senses recede into the mind, let the mind recede into the intellect, let the intellect recede into the self, like that. So might be better to start that tomorrow. Though I still have 5 minutes. Let us chant and we'll see tomorrow. I hope there's no chanda bhanga. Yat ched vang manasi prajnaha. Tad yat ched jnanam atmani. Jnanam atmani. Jnanam atmani mahati. Now what to do in the next part? Niyat chet tadat chet chantam atmani. Chanda bhanga. Maybe you'll have to use a different chant. Anyway, we got all the letters. So, it is a nice technique which is given. And it is just, if you want to summarize the whole technique, it's called as receding. Receding. Receding means going in a one faculty by one faculty. All right, we'll pick it up from there tomorrow. Okay. पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि